Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for this very exciting 33rd induction ceremony for the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. My name is Lynn Soucy. I'm a trustee for the BPW Maine Futurama Foundation, a co-host for this event. Thank you for coming on this beautiful Maine day as winter transitions into spring. And thank you for your donations given to the Maine Women's Hall of Fame in honor of or in memory of someone. They augment our scholarship. Thank you to Mallory Worthen-Redlewski, our harpist today, for the beautiful music she presented at the beginning of our program. We are joined today by several women who are already part of the Maine Women's Hall of Fame, and I ask you to stand and be recognized. I don't think I'll call the names for fear of missing someone. Governor? And thanks to each of you for your contributions. We are also joined today by other trustees of the BPW Maine Futurama Foundation. We are co-hosts for this event. I'll ask the other trustees to stand. Two are at the back of the room already standing. Thank you very much. I am now pleased to introduce Joseph Zakis, interim president of the University of Maine at Augusta, to provide greetings as co-host of the event.
Haven't seen this many people in one place in a while, so thank you. So good afternoon, and I am pleased to welcome everyone to the University of Maine at Augusta for the Maine Women's Hall of Fame induction ceremony. UMA is honored to be a co-sponsor of this event and to host it on our campus. It is fitting for UMA to partner with an organization that is dedicated to recognizing women who have improved the lives of other women and have had a significant statewide impact, as this closely aligns with UMA's mission. Given that 70% of our enrolled students are women, UMA plays an important role transforming the lives of these women and their families, providing opportunities for stable, independent, and fulfilling futures. UMA is proud of its learner-centered legacy that strives to make education accessible to all. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the Futurama Foundation for its generosity in providing for the Business and Professional Women's University of Maine at Augusta Scholarship, awarded annually to a single female parent enrolled at UMA. Our congratulations to this year's honorees, Judy Kahrl and Jessica Meir, for your achievements, leadership, and contributions that serve as a model for women throughout Maine and across the globe. Again, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to UMA. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zakis. And now I welcome Meir, president of the BPW Maine Futurama Foundation.
Welcome guests to the 33rd Men's Women's Hall of Fame Futurama Foundation 33rd inducted ceremony. The BPW Futurama Foundation congratulates Dr. Julia Kahrl and Dr. Jessica Meir on their most deserved induction to the Men's Women's Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Thank you, Meir. It is my pleasure to present 2019 inductee into the Maine Women's Hall of Fame, Maine's Governor Janet Mills.
Thank you. Oh, I'm getting shorter. Thank you, Lynn, and thank you, all of you, for supporting the BPW, the Women's Hall of Fame.
and attending this ceremony in honor of two wonderful, wonderful people with very different backgrounds, very different achievements, but equally noteworthy, equally worthy of this honor. Today marks one of the last days of the month of March, oh boy, pushing the season. We're getting towards the end of the month of March. It's a month dedicated to the history of women. 31 days is not enough. But luckily for us, the Women's Hall of Fame honors our heroines forever. Courageous women who broke barriers, sometimes even without intending to, barriers. And they built a fairer world for every girl that came after them. They demanded to be heard despite being dismissed, despite being ignored. They did the hard work, ignoring doubts. They demonstrated the strength of women who are determined to make a change. I was personally humbled and honored to join the ranks of these women when I was inducted into the Women's Hall of Fame in 2019. And today we induct two more titans to the Women's Hall of Fame who are teaching and showing Maine women and girls how to succeed. Judy, Kahrl, her leadership on reproductive rights has mobilized grandmothers statewide to protect those rights for younger generations. And we know they are always in danger, always at risk. We know how hard women have fought decades ago to secure the right to make our own health care decisions and choices. Now we watch as certain extremists work to undermine, roll back, or outright eliminate those rights. Judy, thanks to your efforts, entire generations of Maine women are standing together to say that those extremists will not win, not on our watch. Congratulations on your induction. It is so well deserved. And Jessica Meir's leadership in science and in space is inspiring women across the state of Maine and across the country to reach for the stars. Born and raised in Caribou, Maine, Jessica fulfilled her lifelong dream of becoming an astronaut in 2013. One of the crew members for the first 3 all-female spacewalks in history. Jessica spent more than 200 days in space. She orbited our planet more than 3,000 times. She traveled almost 87 million miles. I think I put miles on my car. Along with her fellow astronauts, Jessica contributed to hundreds of experiments in biology, including a study of how the human heart functions in space. If you don't think that's important, I don't know what is. Her example shows young girls that careers in science, not just being a celebrity, can take them to new heights. Thanks to Jessica, whose mother is here today, and she is beaming in, as they say on Star Trek, not quite. She's watching us remotely. Thanks to you, Jessica, the sky is no longer the limit. Thank you, Jessica. So, on behalf of all Maine people, 1.3 million people in Maine, including many, many women and girls statewide, I congratulate you both on this achievement and this honor you are about to receive today. And I welcome you to the Maine Women's Hall of Fame with a rowdy and enthusiastic grrr. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Now we would like to share greetings from Maine's congressional delegation. Senator Susan Collins, a 2011 Maine Women's Hall of Fame inductee, Senator Angus King, Congresswoman Shelley Pingree, a 2001 inductee into the Maine Women's Hall of Fame, and Congressman Jared Golden.
Good afternoon. To paraphrase an old saying,
Behind every great state, there are great women. For 32 years, the Maine Women's Hall of Fame has paid tribute to our great state, great women. It is a pleasure to congratulate the 2022 inductees to the Hall of Fame, Dr. Jessica Meir and Dr. Judy Kahrl. They join an illustrious group of women in public service, science, business, education, athletics, and the arts. Let's talk about Jessica Meir. On September 25th, 2019, Jessica blasted off from Earth on a 6-month mission to the International Space Station. 3 weeks later, the first Maine woman in space joined the first ever all-female spacewalk to carry out essential repairs to the space station. It was so exciting to speak with Jessica as she circled our planet to congratulate her on that historic achievement. Jessica's journey was but one chapter in an amazing life story. She was born and grew up in my hometown of Caribou. And boy, I can tell you, we are so proud of her, my fellow Caribou High School graduate. She's not only been an astronaut, as a biologist, she has studied animals in extreme environments from the tropics to Antarctica. I'm so proud of her. We also have another outstanding inductee. Judy is an effective, strong advocate for education, environmental protection, and many other causes. As the founder of Grandmothers for Reproductive Rights, she is a champion of empowering women. I applaud Judy for her lifelong dedication to improving the lives of people, whether here in Maine or around the world. By honoring the leaders of today, the Hall of Fame provides role models who inspire the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you, Jessica and Judy, for your many contributions, and congratulations on this well-deserved honor.
Judy Kahrl, Jessica Meir, honorees, Maine Women's Hall of Fame. Congratulations to both of you for being honored, but mostly for the work that you've done, for the inspiration that you've provided to women and men, frankly, throughout Maine. By the way, Judy, my wife, Mary Herman, sends her very best congratulations when I told her that you were one of the honorees. Judy has worked her whole life in reproductive health. She formed a wonderful organization I call GRR, which is Grandmothers for Reproductive Rights, and it's a tough time on this issue. It's a very tough time. So I want to congratulate and thank Judy for the work that she's done, and also for being recognized at the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. Jessica, of course, is I think the best phrase is from Caribou to the cosmos. Jessica is our astronaut, has been in space, has shown what a woman can accomplish in what historically was a man's field. We have had female astronauts before, but it was really a proud moment for Maine when Jessica went into space. And so, Jessica, thank you for what you've done, for the leadership you provide, for the inspiration that you've provided to women and girls throughout Maine. And we're just behind you. I'm so excited to be able to congratulate you. And thanks to the Maine Women's Hall of Fame to recognize these two great Maine leaders.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Shelley Pingree. Thank you for inviting me to celebrate two truly extraordinary Maine women as they are inducted into the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. Judy Kahrl, a fierce activist for reproductive freedom and social justice, and Jessica Meir, a brilliant scientist and astronaut who's leaving a trail of historic firsts for women in space. Judy and Jessica, you are trailblazers and role models, and you are each an inspiration to women and girls in Maine and across the nation, myself included. You have pushed boundaries and challenged institutions, and you've encouraged others to do the same. It's hard to believe it's been more than 2 decades since I was inducted to be honored alongside some of Maine's most influential women. Every day since, I've been so proud to be recognized in their company, and I'm thrilled that today you are taking your rightful, well-deserved places in the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. I'm so pleased to virtually welcome you to this esteemed group of women who have inspired, rallied, lobbied, educated, and risked. In short, you've persisted. I celebrate that you are leaders who have refused to take no for an answer, and I'm honored to be in your company. Congratulations.
First, I'd like to thank the organizers at Maine Women's Hall of Fame for extending the invitation to be a part of today's event. It's an honor to celebrate the induction of 2 great Mainers into the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. I'd like to offer my sincere congratulations to both of tonight's inductees. Dr. Kahrl has worked for decades to protect women's access to health care and reproductive rights in Maine and to make our state and country a fairer and safer place for the next generation. Dr. Meir, whether she's on the ground in her native Caribou or in the International Space Station, is an extraordinary role model for each one of us. Both of these women adds to our state's proud and remarkable tradition of strong, effective women leaders, and they make me proud to be a Mainer. So congratulations, Dr. Kahrl and Dr. Meir, not only on your achievements today, but for decades of hard work in service to your community, your country, and in Dr. Meir's case, your galaxy. And thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Many thanks to Senators Collins and King and to Congresswoman Pingree and Congressman Golden for their remarks and for taking time to honor our 2022 honorees. We will now begin our formal induction program. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Lucy Hull, a member of Grandmothers for Reproductive Rights Kitchen Cabinet. Lucy will present our first 2022 inductee to the Maine Women's Hall of Fame, Judy Kahrl, founder of Grandmothers for Reproductive Rights, or GRR.
I need to figure out how close to be to the microphone, so tell me if I'm too close or too far away. Judy Kahrl is a wonder. Her energy is boundless and her vision impressive. She's been my friend for over 20 years, and it's a delight to celebrate her today. Over those years, we've had many conversations, offering centering women and girls on topics such as combating misogyny, what girls need to grow, and how to help women find their voices, what it means to grow older. I have leaned on her wisdom and perspective. Her experience is vast, gained from her years of activism, her work on many issues and in many circumstances, her philanthropy, and her extensive travels. Her nomination process was clandestine. Then I had the great pleasure of telling her she was being inducted into the Maine Women's Hall of Fame along with Jessica Meir, astronaut. Judy looked at me with incredulity and then delight and threw back her head and laughed aloud. She said, "Wow, I'll be floating way up there with Jessica Meir." Judy and I have often commiserated about the state of a world in which power and politics are dominated by out-of-step white men. How differently the world can be when women are in positions of power. For women to lead, they have to first have the ability to control their reproduction. Increasing access to sex education, contraception, abortion care, and support for families so children can thrive has been Judy's passion her whole life.
She is obsessed with creating a world where women have access to everything they need to thrive and to fulfill their full potential, from when they're in utero to the end of their days. Our reproductive lives need to be seen in their entirety, from pre-puberty past menopause. Always a leader, for many years, Judy hosted gala evenings to hear from other luminaries in the fields of sexual and reproductive health, rights, and justice, from Maine Family Planning, Pathfinder International, the Nature Conservancy. These events brought people together, inspired lively conversation, and raised funds for projects near and dear to her heart. Judy knows that every issue, poverty, education, racism, climate change, the health of our environment, war and immigration, is related to reproductive rights. In 2013, when Judy was in her late 70s, she convened a group of friends and founded Grandmothers for Reproductive Rights. Grrr. She is nothing if not inspiring. If Judy could launch GRR at an age when most of us slow down, and if in doing so have such a positive impact on reproductive health and justice, what can the rest of us do? She saw the influence older women have with younger women and recognized the leadership and power that grandmothers have in support of their families and communities. Judy's vision has had a direct impact on women and girls in Maine. Judy founded GRR to turn older women's anger into energy, to fight restrictions on sexual and reproductive health, rights, and justice. GRR follows the tenets of reproductive justice: the right to have children, to not have children, and parent children in safe and sustainable communities. The hard reality is that reproductive health has never been accessible to all, with Black, brown, Indigenous, poor, and young people often cut off from the ability to determine their own futures. Judy has a great sense of humor. She gets a twinkle in her eye and sees the fun even when things seem most bleak. She realized immediately that the acronym for Grandmothers for Reproductive Rights, GRR, had potential. It is so important to find the fun, especially with this deadly serious topic, so we can muster the energy and enthusiasm to carry on. Older women bring an element of surprise as we break stereotypes by showing up and speaking out. The seeming incongruity of women long past reproductive age advocating for abortion and access to contraception invites people to think and reconsider. We hope you'll join us if you haven't already. GRR is for grandmothers, of course, but really for everybody, young and old. As Judy is fond of saying, everyone is a grandchild of someone, after all. We hope you'll find our bold and cheery yellow visibility welcoming. It will take all of us to change the narrative around reproductive health. GRR is collaborative, as Judy is herself in all things. GRR has long-standing deep relationships with many organizations in Maine, including Maine Family Planning, the Mabel Wadsworth Center, Maine Women's Fund, Maine ACLU, and Planned Parenthood of Northern New England. GRRs testify often in Augusta on bills affecting women and reproductive health. Judy made a post about GRR in Pantsuit Nation in 2017. The response was so positive and so overwhelming that Judy said she felt like she had jumped on the back of a 90-foot whale in the middle of a tsunami. Fortunately, the whale has been friendly, and that tsunami of activism has led to great growth in GRR until we were finally able to hire a grassroots organizer in 2020 and our first executive director in 2022. GRR has gradually become a national organization with activists across the country and partnerships with other national reproductive rights and justice organizations. And remember, it all started right here in Maine. Judy has shown the importance of building confidence and elevating the voices of older women. Many of us were activists in the 60s and 70s, and we thought we had permanently protected the right to abortion. How wrong we were. The constant attacks on our autonomy are breathtaking. We need to rebuild the confidence of older women, rework our activism, step up our networking, and use our voices. This is what GRR is all about: leadership development, education, networking, collaboration. An area of great need in this moment is exposing the fake clinics in Maine that pose as a resource for people with unexpected or unwanted pregnancies. Judy and all of us at GRR have been concerned about these clinics for years. These fake clinics' goal is to dissuade people from getting abortions, and they're very sneaky about the ways they go about this. With abortion bans in numerous states and fake clinics springing up to take the place of real ones, we're looking at a dystopian world becoming real, where fake clinics are the only option for a majority of people who do not have the funds or ability to travel for care. These people need our compassion and assistance, not shame and misinformation. These clinics are not licensed medical facilities, and they don't have to keep your information private. At Kahrl, we're working to expose these fake clinics and bring awareness of the immoral work they do. Telling our stories, as Judy has inspired many of us to do, can be helpful to younger generations. In many cases, these stories have been buried in shame and silence. Developing compassion for others happens through stories. Through stories, we can walk in someone else's shoes. And this is how culture change occurs. Our generation's lived experience can be instructive in our current determination to build a world where comprehensive, high-quality reproductive health care is accessible and affordable for all. Our stories can be used in testimony, in letters to the editor, and in our presentations in college classrooms. As Judy has taught us, connecting across generations is powerful as we combine forces. We learn from each other, we inspire each other, and we offer hope and perspective, and we model persistence. Kahrl's series, Shaking Off Stigma, provides opportunities for people of different generations to have intimate conversations. Through these conversations, younger women can glimpse what older women went through before contraception and abortion were legal. Older people can hear directly what younger people are facing in this moment, their fears and hopes and aspirations. Together, we can shake off the stigma and the silence. Since the first of the year, when Kelly McConnell started as executive director of Kahrl, Judy has stepped back from day-to-day operations. This represents a huge accomplishment. Judy was the inspiration behind Kahrl and kicked the organization into gear. Now, with Kelly's leadership and as a growing group of people take up the banner, it's clear that Judy's vision and dream will carry on. And gathering strength along the way. As we have learned from Judy, this work is profound as we find our voices, speak out, and affect change. There's a tendency in our society for older people to be sidelined, and for older women in particular to become invisible. When we find our voices, we become visible, and that is powerful indeed. Thank you, Judy. Thank you.
Lucy, thank you very much for that inspiring introduction to Judy Kahrl. Now I welcome to the podium the Honorable Joyce McCreight, who will also provide remarks on behalf of Judy's induction. Representative McCreight is serving her 4th term in the Maine legislature, representing District 51, which encompasses Harpswell, West Bath, and part of Brunswick.
Usually my mask gets stuck in my earring, and it's doing it now. Okay, we're good. Thank you very much. So nice to see everybody. I'm honored to be with you today to speak about Judy Kahrl, as she is inducted into the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. Grandmotherhood and advocacy are the links that connect Judy and me. It's a connection that literally changed my life. In 2012, I was leading a Grandmothers for Obama initiative in Maine. It was grassroots advocacy, it was grandmother advocacy. The idea was to have grandmothers send postcards to voters in Maine stating our support for President Obama's re-election. Groups of women came together in postcard parties. Others picked up stacks of pre-printed postcards and did them on their own. Judy was in the latter group and took on this task with the passion I've come to know so well. I think she did more than most others put together. We actually never met during that time. Judy picked up bundle after bundle of postcards, exerting her power as grandmother, advocating for policies she valued and wanted to help preserve. In early 2013, I received an email from Judy inviting me to join her and other women to discuss how we might advocate for reproductive rights and reproductive justice. And that's when we met, in Judy's living room in Arousek. 20 or so women from various aspects of Judy's life circled the room, sparked by Judy's innovative idea, and so began a movement. At that first meeting, I learned of Judy's long-standing commitment to reproductive rights, the history of the founding of Pathfinders and Planned Parenthood, and the role her family played in the early days of those organizations. You would have to say this cause is in her blood. She shared her vision with us that day. I remember Judy describing how the idea came to her. She was driving somewhere, she was thinking about advocacy for reproductive rights, and then she thought, oops, wrong page. And then she thought about grandmothers. The lightning bolt hit. Grandmothers for reproductive rights. Grr. And the movement was born. Judy knew that when many others did not, that we could never assume that the work securing reproductive rights was finished. And she knew that we, as grandmothers, could inform and inspire the next generation who hadn't experienced what we had in the times when access was impossible or unsafe. Judy probably doesn't know this, but she helped me embrace the identity of grandmother. I always get verklempt at these things. Definitely life-changing for me because grandmother equaled old. Getting involved with Grandmothers for Obama was sort of a coming out. Being involved with GER, even more so. Pride in being a grandmother, awareness of the power of grandmothers, these are the gifts Judy gave me and so many others. One of the things I admire most, along with Judy's own commitment to protecting and expanding reproductive rights, is her way of advocating. I hear her voice in my head, encouraging others to action, but always with a gentle touch. We each do what we can. Never forcing anyone to do anything beyond their ability, finding ways anyone could be involved as they were able. She consistently supports everyone to grow and realize their power. As women, as grandmothers, as caring people, in the myriad ways they can. One of my favorite memories of the early days of GER, maybe that first day, was in Judy's living room when one of the women cried, "We need t-shirts." I thought it was a bit premature since we didn't really know what we were going to do yet. We didn't have our mission, we didn't have our mission statement. But she was right. We were on our way to something amazing, and the time was right for the bright yellow t-shirts that have become recognizable symbols of all that Judy and GER stand for. In those first days, we mostly new activists learned so much about advocacy, the process, the language, the value of being present. And we learned about the power of grandmothers working together to make a difference. We traveled to Augusta, wearing our GER t-shirts to table in the Hall of Flags at the State House, offering our swag to those who were there. We were greeted warmly by many of the legislators. The t-shirts went like hotcakes, and we were even more inspired. Personally, my interest in advocacy grew, my involvement in activism grew, my comfort with using my voice grew. My strength as a woman and as a grandmother grew. And suddenly, I was running for the legislature. 4 terms and 8 years later, I have to thank Judy Kahrl and all the GERs for inspiring me to do this. While in the legislature, I've been able to sponsor successful legislation to help ensure access to reproductive health care in Maine. Not alone, of course. We have legislators here and the governor who all supported those efforts, and I thank you. And GERs were always there with me, inspiring, supporting, speaking out. Judy Kahrl is an innovator, teacher, counselor, advocate, friend. A truly inspirational force who took a dream and made it a reality. She inspires me every day. Judy Kahrl is truly deserving and an inspiring addition to the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. I am now pleased to welcome to the podium 2022 Maine Women's Hall of Fame inductee, Judy Kahrl. Welcome, Judy. I have here a certificate, which I will read for the benefit of the audience. The BPW Maine Futurama Foundation and the University of Maine at Augusta present the 33rd Annual Maine Women's Hall of Fame Award to Dr. Julia G. Kahrl, Ph.D., nominated by Lucy W. Hull, Kitchen Cabinet Member, Grandmothers for Reproductive Rights, presented March 19, 2022 at the University of Maine at Augusta. It is signed by Meir and Dr. Joseph Sakis.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh.
And a pin to wear with the logo of the Maine Women's Hall of Fame and the word inductee at the bottom.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you, thank you. I'm stunned and can hardly find the words to say thank you, all of you for coming, and you too for the words that you had to say. I have to say that without the inspiration of the people who joined GER, I would not be here. So really, this belongs to all of us in some way. Lucy and Jay, thank you so much. You are an inspiration to me. I also want to thank the women who have created and maintained the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. The work of women so often is not recognized, and yet it is extraordinarily important. All the way from, I'm going to take my mask off because if I can do it without losing a hearing aid. Someday we'll be without these things, but I want to say that women's work often is not recognized, and it is wonderful to have this source of recognition there for the example of the students who may see it, of the other people who visit it, because it says you too can be part of this movement of women taking leadership positions. And I want to speak not only to the women honored by the Hall of Fame, Maine Women's Hall of Fame, but also the women who do things like gathering together with a bake sale to raise money for their children's field trip or something of that kind, and also for all the people who do caretaking without recognition. There is a lot of that is part of the fabric of our society. So I want to say thank you and gratitude for them too. Lucy's told you, and Jay too, a lot about GER and how we got started and how we gathered and decided that we would wear yellow t-shirts and kind of shock people a little bit. I think there's a great surprise that older women become activists, but why not? What do we, that's just such a good idea. But I've decided today I'm going to talk about something that is not talked about very much. It is behind the work we do, but even we don't say the word very often. It's a three-letter word that starts with S, S-E-X. We don't talk about it, but it is a fundamental part of our lives. I don't think there's anybody here who hasn't spent some time in a woman's womb.
So you think about it, it's underneath everything that we do. And Lucy cited some of the places where women's health has an effect because women can have access, if they have access to sexual and reproductive health care. And I don't want to leave men and boys out of this either, because they seem to have a role somewhere. Somebody told me that. I grew up in a family where reproductive health was talked about a lot, because my father was a pioneer in this work, starting in the late 20s, when he himself became a father, and then on through the 30s and 40s, and after he was in the U.S. before World War II, but after World War II, he did a lot of his work abroad, and I had the privilege of being able to go and visit some of these places and see that the concern about reproductive health, the neglect of reproductive health, is pretty universal. So I wasn't surprised when I came to Maine. But one of the things that has shocked me recently is how we have not talked about, for example, maternity care, and how maternal mortality is increasing in this state. But I want to mention the consequences of not talking about sex. The consequences are that we're not well informed, that people don't get the education that they need, that boys and girls growing up don't get the information that they need, and are kind of shamed, so they don't want to talk about it. But they do, you know that. So I think the restrictions on abortion often spring out of a lack of knowledge of the lived experience of women, and that it is not because we're just careless that we need an abortion, but often one of the most loving decisions that we can make with great difficulty. I think another reason that we should be talking about this more is to realize that funding sexual and reproductive health care is really important. It should be part of the general health care, not off in some different section, because it is just woven into our general health. And so it gets underfunded. We also have the issue that some women face of needing to have materials for their menstrual periods, and they can't afford it. We saw this recently when there was a debate about providing menstrual hygiene products to women in prison. And unfortunately, one legislator in this state said, "We don't want the prison to be like a country club." I couldn't figure out how that went together. But clearly he was not informed about the lived experience that women have with this monthly cycle that goes on during their reproductive years. Another issue that is not discussed enough is what brings about gender-based violence. And that it is being addressed, but we certainly could use more influence on it. So when societal issues are talked about amongst people, then gradually policy can work its way to the point where people can take action on it. Governor Mills mentioned this to us, how we have had to fight hard and keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing until legislation is passed to make some of these services available to the women who need them, wherever they are, whatever their color, whatever their background or economic level. And I think this is an issue in Maine, particularly in the rural areas, but in the urban areas as well. So I ask you to begin talking about it a little bit. It may be kind of embarrassing because you've been told that's one of those subjects we don't talk about. But if we do and bring it into our lives, we will be able to make a difference in this world and make the access to sexual and reproductive health care open doors for women to take leadership positions because they can control their fertility. So I want to thank you again for coming. The fact that you did means that you care something about women and women's values and women's values in society. And thank you for giving up a Saturday afternoon and joining us here. And thank you for this award. I'm just touched beyond belief. I keep wondering who they're talking about. So I will go and sit down and let you go on with it. It is amazing. And you are an amazing group of people to come and make a statement just by being here that you think this is important. So thank you so much.
Judy, congratulations, and thank you for your work on behalf of women around the world. Now I'm happy to introduce Catherine Olmsted, President of the Aroostook Branch of American University Women, who will begin the presentation for our second inductee this afternoon, NASA astronaut Dr. Jessica Meir.
Thank you. It is such an honor to help present Dr. Jessica Meir for the induction into the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. And I want to thank those who contributed to her nomination by the Aroostook branch of the American Association of University Women. Darylyn Cody, AAUW Vice President and 2019 Women's Hall of Fame inductee. Former Caribou High School Principal David Willett, U.S. Senator Susan Collins, and two whom you will hear from shortly, NASA astronaut Dr. Drew Morgan, and Maine Space Grant affiliate Sharon Eggleston. Their enthusiasm and thoughtful endorsements assure the success of this nomination. In addition, we all owe gratitude to Marilyn Ladd and the BPW Maine Futurama Foundation team who diligently coordinate this recognition ceremony with the University of Maine at Augusta every year. Thank you. Jessica Ulrika Meir is the perfect candidate for induction into the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. The story of her pursuit of a dream has already inspired women and girls in Maine and beyond. It's a story of persistence in the face of setbacks and continuous hard work as a scholar and a scientist. Valedictorian of the Caribou High School class of 1995, Jessica had envisioned herself an astronaut since first grade. When her teacher asked the class to draw a picture of what they wanted to be when they grew up, she drew a picture of an astronaut in a spacesuit standing on the surface of the moon. Then in high school, she said her dream was to take a spacewalk. Well, you all know, Jessica made history in 2019, completing the first all-female spacewalk from the International Space Station with fellow astronaut Christina Koch. She subsequently participated in the second and third all-female spacewalks. In December 2020, she learned she was named to NASA's 18-member Artemis team, from which the crew may be chosen to orbit and land on the moon within this decade. Could Jessica be the first woman to walk on the moon? But the path to dream fulfillment has not been straight. In 2009, Jessica was a finalist for NASA's 20th class of astronauts. She was poised to see her dream come true, only to be passed over when the team was selected. Then in 2013, she was encouraged to apply again. Could she risk that disappointment a second time? She wondered. Luckily, I stuck to it and persevered, she told an audience at Caribou High School. I just wasn't prepared to give up yet. Perseverance paid off, and she was selected from among more than 6,000 qualified applicants for NASA's 21st class of astronauts. A 1999 graduate of Brown University with a degree in biology, Jessica earned a master's in space studies from the International Space University in Strasbourg, France in 2000, and a doctorate in marine biology from the Scripps Institution of Oceanography in 2009. She completed a National Science Foundation postdoctoral fellowship at the University of British Columbia in 2012 and was serving as assistant professor at Harvard Medical School, Massachusetts General Hospital, when she was selected by NASA to begin her career as an astronaut. Commenting on the significance of her first historic walk, Jessica said, that event was about paying tribute to those generations of women and other minorities that were the ones truly pushing the boundaries and breaking those glass ceilings. If it weren't for their hard work, when we really didn't have a seat at the table, Christina and I would not have been out there that day. I feel it is our responsibility to keep sharing this and inspiring so that hopefully one day, for little girls growing up now, it won't even be remarkable that two women were doing a spacewalk because it will just be normal. These aren't just words. Jessica has stayed connected to her high school alma mater in Caribou and other schools in Aroostook County. We try to get back to our hometowns, she told a science teacher in Mars Hill. It makes things more real when people who came from the same background and place share their experience. One good example is she spoke live from the International Space Station with an auditorium full of students in Caribou in October 2019. She answered their questions and gave them a firsthand insight into her long journey. Clearly, Jessica is a role model for girls and women. Her persistence in reaching her goals, her historic role in space exploration, and her achievements as a scholar and a scientist demonstrate that when a little girl from a small town in northern Maine says she wants to be an astronaut, she's not just dreaming. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. I would now like to introduce Sharon Eggleston, a member of the Maine Space Grant Consortium and an aerospace educator.
Good afternoon. I'm honored to be standing here today before such distinguished guests, family members of the inductees, and members of the community to offer my personal congratulations to Dr. Jessica Meir for her induction into the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. For me, I have personally known Jessica for over 5 years. However, little did I know that 2 decades ago, we were working for the same company, Lockheed Martin. However, we were in different divisions, and so our paths never met. 2 decades later, fate changed that. And when it did, it has been the benefit for Maine students. Jessica not only became a role model to tens of thousands of students here in Maine and around the world, but by example, she continues every day to help inspire students to quite literally reach for the stars. Her accomplishments are many. But today, I would like to share with you Dr. Meir's personal involvement in a program that is close to my heart, and it was called Space Day Maine. Space Day Maine is sponsored by the Maine Space Grant Consortium, and in May of this year, we will be celebrating the 24th year with the goal of helping to raise aspirations of Maine students in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Jessica has personally participated in Space Day Maine events in numerous cities and towns throughout Maine with the goal of educating Maine students on the extraordinary achievements, benefits, and opportunities to all in the exploration and use of space. Her passion and enthusiasm have become a learning virus spreading across our community, her state, and her nation. I remember on one particular occasion that we were having a Space Day event, and Jessica had given her presentation, and she had come into the gym. And in that gym, we usually have approximately 20 activities going on. Everything from students could build paper airplanes or participate in an engineering activity. However, over in one of the corners, there was a table, and they were making, a group of 20 girls were making solar bead bracelets. I can still see Jessica walking up to the group of that middle school 20 students and asking if she could join them so that she could make a bracelet for her mother. And of course, the girls welcomed her in, and it was such a marvel to just see how natural and easygoing it just worked. And she just joined with the girls, and all the while she's making the bracelet for her mother, they're asking her what it was like to live and work in space. Also, I do remember another occasion when Jessica was talking to several young students. And she was talking to them because she was saying to them, make sure that whatever you choose to do it passionately. And then, more importantly, make sure you work hard to do that and to reach your goals. Many of these students will become Maine's future generation of engineers, scientists, and space explorers. Dr. Meir is not only blazing a trail for future generations of Maine students to follow, she has become an inspiration to us all, and I am honored to call her my friend. In closing, let me join my voice with those here and around the state congratulating Dr. Meir on her well-deserved induction into the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. I would like to introduce Dr. Andrew Morgan, U.S. Army Colonel and NASA astronaut, who has provided video of his remarks on behalf of Jessica's induction.
From July 2019 until April 2020, I served on board the International Space Station during Expeditions 60, 61, and 62. I shared 7 of those rewarding months with a stellar scientist and astronaut, Dr. Jessica Meir. My name is Drew Morgan. I'm a NASA astronaut, a medical doctor, and an officer in the U.S. Army. In 2013, I was selected alongside Dr. Meir as a member of NASA's 21st class of astronauts. I know her as Jessica, or more commonly, by her call sign, Goose, a pointed reference to her previous scientific research. After 9 years of closely working together as colleagues, crewmates, and friends, I have a unique perspective on Jessica and her storied career. I was thrilled to both endorse her for this honor and now to celebrate her induction into this prestigious Hall of Fame. Dr. Meir's path is a model for every young student in Maine that aspires to achieve their maximum potential, even if their goals don't necessarily include launching to space. Jessica's unique pathway to becoming an astronaut began as an accomplished scientist, studying animal physiology in extreme environments. Her career had all the adventure, curiosity, and intrigue of a prize-winning documentary, validated by multiple scientific accolades. Her research took her science work to the corners of the planet, from studying high-altitude geese in the Himalayas to penguin diving physiology in the Antarctic. Jessica's astronaut achievements eclipse even her journeys as a field scientist. In 9 short years, the magnitude of her space resume rivals careers of astronauts spending twice that time at NASA. Jessica's first spaceflight was among the longest continuous duration flights to the space station by an American astronaut, logging 205 days. On board the ISS, her science work continued, performing hundreds of experiments in microgravity that benefit life on Earth and advance NASA's ambition to land the first woman on the Moon and ultimately Mars. She's one of only a tiny handful of women to pilot a spacecraft and served as the co-pilot for her Russian Soyuz capsule, where she functioned exclusively in the Russian language. Of particular historical interest, Jessica's first spacewalk was also the first spacewalk ever undertaken by a pair of women. This long overdue accomplishment captured front pages of international news and the attention of world leaders. I personally witnessed Jessica's incredibly calm demeanor and poise throughout the events as she gracefully embraced the magnitude of this milestone symbolism to women around the globe. But all these facts I've highlighted are easily discoverable. A quick Google search or Wikipedia search will generate Jessica's unbelievable resume and the countless news articles celebrating them. But what makes them truly exceptional is their accomplishment by a woman with character worth emulating. As astronauts, we live and train together for years and become students of each other's personalities. I spent months training alongside Jessica before ultimately living in arm's reach away from her for 7 months on board the ISS. We became like family. In fact, I even call her my astro sister because we occasionally even bickered like siblings. But we shared some of the best moments of our careers as we watched our friends arrive and depart to the space station and gazed at indescribable views of Earth. But we also shared difficult and uncertain times as we watched the pandemic develop on the planet below us. I couldn't have asked for a better crewmate to share these experiences with. Through the ups and downs, it became clear to me that Jessica is the most thoughtful, selfless, and generous colleague I've ever worked with in my professional career. And beyond that, I've trusted her with my own life on multiple occasions. To summarize, she's exactly the type of crewmate any astronaut would want to fly with. And in our small circles, that's the ultimate compliment an astronaut can pay a colleague. Dr. Meir's career is still on the ascent. Capturing her for this honor at this point in her career recognizes her extraordinary accomplishments, their enduring impacts on the state of Maine, and invests in Jessica's future destinations. I fully expect that one day soon, Jessica will walk on the moon, lead at NASA, lead in academia, or maybe even occupy a prominent public office. I've traveled around the world with Jessica and observed the wonder that young students have for Jessica, the person, not just Dr. Meir, the scientist and the astronaut. Jessica Meir is the example Maine can hold high as the role model for young women and men. She inspires the nation and the entire world as a renowned scientist, a history-making astronaut, and a model citizen for our planet Earth. And on top of all of that, she calls Maine home. Jessica, I'm extremely proud of you and your accomplishments, and even prouder to call you my astronaut classmate, space station crewmate, and astro sister. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Morgan. We are now pleased to present the 2022 Maine Women's Hall of Fame inductee, Dr. Jessica Meir, who joins us from the NASA Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Dr. Meir's certificate and pin were mailed to her earlier this week at NASA.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Sounds like you can see me there now. Thank you so much to everyone that is there today. I so wish that I could be there with all of you in person, but it really does warm my heart to see people gathered together there. Thank you so much for all the introductory words and tributes, especially to Kathy, Sharon, and Drew, my space brother. A little bit emotional after just watching that, that video with Drew. My mother is there with you, and I know some siblings are watching online. And even though my father isn't with us any longer to see me accept this prestigious honor, I know he would be proud to see his daughter enter the Women's Hall of Fame, even if technically he was hoping for another son. I'm going to show a few pictures as well as I go along here, so hopefully this won't become too awkward. Just as I mentioned, my siblings, of course, some pictures of how I wanted to share this mission with everybody. Here, my mother and my siblings actually pictured here in the cupola on the International Space Station. And this is a photograph of when they came on a very exciting trip to Russia and to Kazakhstan to watch my launch. And there, as mentioned, is my father's. Of course, his spirit was with me as well. Okay. People often ask me what inspired me to be an astronaut. Was there a single moment, a memory, a person that sparked that passion? I wish I had that one iconic story, but I believe the nature of my story lies precisely there, in nature, there in the heart of Maine. Growing up in Caribou, in a state more than 90% covered by trees, with my Swedish mother and her love for nature, we relished our time outdoors, sloshing through puddles of snowmelt in springtime, paddling canoes near New Sweden to catch a glimpse of the local moose, jumping into piles of autumn leaves, or gliding over cross-country ski trails through the woods in the winter. I was unaware of it at the time, but I believe that immersion into the natural, local beauty on our planet was at least partly responsible for stimulating my inquisitive nature about the world around me and fueling my scientific curiosity and passion to explore. As the youngest of 5 children, I had countless footsteps to follow. Many habits and hobbies, achievements and accomplishments, dreams and desires were mine to emulate. And I did exactly that. Piano lessons, then flute, piccolo, saxophone, outdoor obstacle courses, soccer practice, softball games, neighborhood bike tours. I wanted to do it all. I certainly didn't want to miss out on anything or be left trailing behind my older brother and 3 sisters. And it is those fundamentals, that love for nature, fueling a passion for exploration and scientific curiosity about the world around me, that yearning to learn and discover and to strive to emulate my older siblings and the strong role models around me. That is what led me toward the stars. As was described so eloquently by the speakers before me, I had the privilege of having my childhood dream come true, culminating in the fall of 2019 as I launched toward the space station. But if I think about it, the most important part wasn't actually flying in space. The most important part was becoming the type of person that earned that opportunity. But that is also where I'm incredibly fortunate. I have all of you to thank for that. My parents, my 3 sisters, my brother, my teachers, my friends, all in the great state of Maine, all that nurtured and supported my dream of becoming an astronaut from the time I first started saying it when I was 5 years old. You are the ones that molded and shaped me into what I have become today. And it didn't stop there. My studies and work and interests extended far from the borders of my home state, but the incredible mentorship and support network that I found along the way remained as steadfast as a Maine pine. One of the most important things to me is sharing my mission with all of you, with all of those on our breathtakingly beautiful planet. This mission wasn't only mine, or even that of just my crew, or that of NASA, but to all of the people that helped me along the way. When we explore at NASA, we venture forward as representatives of humanity. It is for all of humankind that we explore. So I hope to continue to do that, to share my mission with all of you. I've had many opportunities to do so already, with talks to the Kahrl school system and other entities like the Challenger Learning Center or Maine Space Days, as Sharon mentioned. And there are many more scheduled even this spring. So stay tuned. I do plan to continue to share all of this adventure with all of you. When I peruse the list of names that have had this honor, I am incredibly humbled to be among them. The heroic efforts of fellow inductee Judy Kahrl in championing reproductive rights and justice at a time when women truly didn't have a seat at the table. Educators, suffragists, notable senators, governors, advocates for civil and women's rights, chief justices, renowned scientists and professors, Holocaust survivors, Olympic athletes, female leaders that were household and classroom names to me as a child growing up in Maine, Olympia Snow and Susan Collins. It is women like that, all of these women before me, that decorate the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. These true pioneers, they are the reason that I was able to venture outside the space station with friend and colleague Christina Cook to make that historic first all-female spacewalk. I don't see that event as a personal achievement, but rather a tribute to the generations of women and minorities before me that were the true breakers of glass ceilings and boundary pushers. They were the ones that gave us the opportunity to do our jobs that day. And they are the ones that should truly be reveling and celebrating in that success. So I'd like to conclude today by saying thank you, not just to Kathy Olmsted, Marilyn Ladd, and all those at the University of Maine, Augusta Women's Hall of Fame that bestowed this honor upon me, but to all of those that came before me, that paved the way for my journey to the stars. Thank you so much. And I'll also share my screen one last time to share some more of those images, as I do hope to continue to share this adventure with all of you. This is, of course, a picture of a region you probably recognize, taken from the International Space Station. You can see the solar array in the bottom left, the very familiar shape of Cape Cod up in the right. And here, right around here, is Caribou, Maine, where, of course, I grew up, first starting to say that I wanted to be an astronaut. Here's another photo of the space station of the area, where I grew up, engaging in all of those activities, being inspired by the friends and colleagues and mentors and my siblings around me as I made my journey through my early years in the state of Maine. I also brought all of you, in a way, to the space station with me, and that was captured with things like this, some emblems which I'm giving back to the state of Maine in various ways, flags, patches, and that kind of thing, just to show that all of you were truly there with me. Here are a few more photos from the space station and looking back toward Earth. This was actually not taken on my mission. This was taken on an earlier mission, but shows the area around the coastal area around Cape Elizabeth, where my mother lives today, and Portland. And here's a picture of the region at night. Northern Maine would be in the lower left here. I was struggling to try and get some good photographs. Every time we would fly anywhere over the region, I would rush to the cupola, try to get the camera ready to get some images of my hometown and my home state. Unfortunately, most of the time during my mission, it looked more like this. But I promise you, that is Maine and New Brunswick and the general area down there beneath the clouds. So with that, I'd like to say thank you once again for all of this honor, and I hope that perhaps my mother can come up to the stage and accept the award. I guess it's already been sent, so maybe there's nothing there for her to accept, but she is there as my #1 representative. So thank you so much for all of you that made the effort of being there today. I hope to see you all in person soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, Jessica. From the BPW Maine Futurama Foundation, we again offer congratulations to today's distinguished honorees and welcome them to the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. Your leadership, dedication, and mentorship to the women and girls of Maine will affect the lives of women today and into the future. As the Maine Women's Hall of Fame continues into its 34th year, there is no shortage of strong Maine women who should be inducted. Please consider the Maine women you know or read about or admire, and check our website in the fall to learn how to nominate them for inclusion. Thank you to all who joined us today for this program, and to those who have donated to our scholarship fund. Your donations will help us give scholarships to 6 deserving Maine girls this year, and Maine girls and women this year and for many years forward. Finally, thank you to the University of Maine at Augusta for co-sponsoring today's event and for hosting in the Bennett Cates Library the ongoing gallery of photos of our inductees, plus information about their achievements. I hope you will get a chance to visit the Bennett Cates Library at some time and take in this wonderful presentation. Thank you also to the staff at the University of Maine who have assisted with today's ceremony. As you leave, there's a box, there are small boxes at the back of the table. Please help yourself to a gift from the Maine Futurama Foundation. Thank you again for coming.